Hello, welcome back. The frame is now being powder coated. So while that's being done, I'm going to be doing the clutch basket rubbers now. They're quite worn. We've got some new rubbers, some new rivets. So yeah, so I'm going to get started on that. Start stripping it down. So I'll see you in a minute. So I'm going to just start taking the clutch apart basically. These shouldn't be too tight, these in. Yeah, too bad. Now there is a ball bearing in here as well. If you push the clutch rod through, there should be a ball bearing in here. Yeah, and that'll pop out. So I'll pay you to take that out really. Make sure you don't lose it. Remember to put that back in when you put it back together. Right now, so there's a bit of a lock tab in that in here. So you need to knock that back off the nut. Right, so we took the lock tab off now, we'll tap that off. So now obviously we'll undo the nut. So really, if you're going to do this, really you want to get the proper tool for it. To lock the clutch, so it don't turn when you undo it. This is like an ideal tool really. There's others as well and other things you can do to jam stuff up, but this is what I've got, what I recommend. Because these can be, you know, pretty tight these. So. So, too bad. It's alright there. But if you ain't got the tool, you're going to struggle to undo these. Unless you've got an air gun, you know, compressor, and you could use an air gun. You might be able to hold them quickly, blip it with an air gun, but you know, really you want the tools to do the job really. So you can see there's a spacer or washer between there. So just make sure you just lay stuff out, you know, as you take it apart. If not, you might end up, you know, if that's a few days later, you might forget. So just put that on the back of there so you know where it's going. The same as clutch basket here. You find there's a washer behind here and a bush. You've got a bush on here that can come off, and there's a little washer behind there as well. But shouldn't be no need to take them off, to be honest. If you're just doing this, you could leave them on there. Another thing, when you take these off, just check the bushes in here, because these are quite prone for wearing as well, and these can wear as well where it sits on here. But this one, that's pretty good. You're going to have you will have a little bit of play in there. Put that back on. You know, you're going to have a tiny bit in there, because you've got to have some play, because obviously it turns on it. So don't worry about it if that's got a little bit. You'll know if that's worn anyway. You'll see on the bush and that. This one's pretty good. So this has got play there, look, and it's got, see it moving on the back there on the gear. So really there shouldn't be any in there really, but it's just the rubbers are inside. They're deteriorated over time, probably sat in oil for like nearly 40 years, and you know, they've been used. So you've got these rivets here, so you need to drill these rivets out now, get them drilled out, then this will all come apart, and then we could put the new rubbers and that in, new rivets, and then you've got to press it in now. So that's the only thing, is you need a press. So if you haven't got one, like say, you're going to need to get someone who's got a press to do it for you. Right, and what you need to check on here as well is in here you get wear on the clutch basket, where the clutch plates sit, and they wear in there and they get grooved and that. So really you want to get a file, a fair bit sort of groove, like these ones are a little bit, ain't too bad. But you just want to get a file and that on each one and just smooth them off, get the ridges out, do that on each one all the way round. You know, just so your plates can move nice and freely. So it's just something you want to check for when you got it off. Right, so next thing you want to check as well is your clutch plates. Just make sure they ain't like really gone blue and been really hot, and you know, because they've been slipping and stuff. That could be, if your clutch has been slipping, they could overheat these and, you know, wreck them basically. So make sure they're not worn and that, and ridges in them, and let's say gone blue. These look pretty good actually. So you want to just go through them as well to make sure they're all good. Right, the next thing you want to check is your clutch plates. Just check the wear. You want to get a vernier and just measure the thickness on here. 3mm basically should be new. If they get down to 2.7mm, then they're worn out basically, and you need to change them. So that's something you want to check. These are alright. These are about 2.9. As well, you want to check your clutch springs. New, these are 34.9mm, but if they're down to 33.9, then basically they're worn out, so you want to replace them. And these ones are worn out actually, so we're going to have to all replace those. Right, so I'm going to try and drill out these rivets. So basically I've just put like a punch in the top there marked in the middle of the rivet, so it's easy to get the drill to start. So I'm just going to try and just drill the heads out a bit, and then get a chisel and knock them off. So just going to give that a go. Right, so we've got it all apart now. Just take your time when you do it, because you know, this is only aluminium in it, and that can break very easily. So if you're tapping them out, just make sure you put a socket underneath to support it as you're tapping it. If not, it can crack quite easily. Right, so cleaned it all up. Oh yeah, firstly I'll show you actually. Look at the difference in the size of the clutch basket rubbers. Look, so that's why you end up getting play, you see, because they shrink or they break up. But these ones are still actually all together. But yeah, you can see the difference. So basically you get the basket, put your gasket on for putting it back together. Put your gear on there. There are some little tiny rubbers in there as well, but they're always all right, so you don't need those. Plus, I don't think you can buy them anyway. So put that in there. And you put your new clutch basket rubbers in. These will be a little bit tight. So obviously they're nice and new, so you can look right. Getting the fit. Right, so they're all in. That just leaves your cover, little plate that holds it all together on there. And then you've got your rivets, all new rivets here. So obviously they'll go through this way, put them through there, line it all up. So then you get your rivets in. So obviously then you're going to need a press. So basically you need something to sit in here to hold the rivets so it can sit on there on the press, and then you can just press your rivets in, squash them over, and that's your job done. I can't do that here because I haven't got a press, so I know someone who has, so I can use theirs. So I'll get that done next. And then that'll be all done really. What we've got to do is then put your O-ring round your basket that sits in there. Once you're done, then put it back together. So I'm going to go and get this. We'll take it to the press and get them all pressed in and get that done, and I'll see you in a bit. Right, so we're back now. Press the rivets in. They're all done. So that's all sorted now. See, there's no play in that at all now, nothing. Cannot move it at all, so that's how it should be. Nice new rubbers and that in there. I put the O-ring in there as well, so that's back on. So we're sort of ready now to put it back together. I filed out as well the edges here, because you get ridges here where the clutch plates sit. So I've filed them down, get them nice and smooth. So yeah, put a little bit of oil on here. Just put a little bit of oil on. Put it in the bush. Just a bit of gearbox oil. So when you put them back on, just make sure that is located in properly in the gears. One here, one on the back here, little idler gear. Just make sure that is in there properly before you do it up, because you might do some damage. Remember to put your washer on. You need your lock tab. And your nut. Right, and then you need your tool again to hold it so you can do it up. You need to get this right, you don't want to do it too tight because obviously you don't want to damage it. You just want it tight enough just to hold it. Right, let's torque this up. That should be 54 foot-pounds. So make sure you've got your locking tool there. Hold it in place. That's it. That's that torqued up. And just make sure that's all free. All feels good. That's lovely. Then you've got your lock tab in there, so you want to just knock your lock tab over, holding that on. Right, so that's the lock tab done. Now I'm paid to put your little ball bearing back in there, and your clutch rod. Put that back in there. You just push it through a little bit. So that's back in. Then got some of these O-rings in here. Start with one of these. And a clutch plate. Right, when you put these on, you need to put these 60 degrees, or about 60 degrees. So you need to put another one on. You got this at the top. So when you put them on, you might as well just start at the top and then just do 60 degrees each round like that from the last one. You keep doing. So I suppose you're sitting, 60 degrees out of each other. So you just make sure you do that. Right, when you're putting your pressure plate on, if you look on here, there's an arrow there and an arrow there. You've got to line them, there's one there as well. But you can, you've got to use them arrows, either one of them arrows, to the mark. That's on the clutch basket here. There's a little dot there if you see it. So you've got to make sure you put it to one of them arrows, to that. If you don't, see that will fit all the way on that. Sits right up. But if you don't have it on right, you put it on about that'll just hit, that won't line up with the teeth on here, so then your clutch won't work. So you just make sure you line it up with one of these arrows, here to there, and that'll go on all the way. It'll just slip straight on that, and your clutch will work right. Right, put the clutch springs in. Got nice new ones, the other ones are worn out, so these can all go on now. Well, the torque on these are 7 foot-pounds, but just nip them up. I ain't got one that small, so torque wrench. So I'm just gonna, just nothing, 7 foot-pounds. Basically just nip them up, or if you've got a torque wrench, just do them up to 7 foot-pounds if you want to, but it's like nothing. Right, so that's how you do the clutch basket rubbers on a 350LC and a 250LC. To say thanks as well to everyone who's subscribed. If you haven't subscribed, then please hit the subscribe button, that'd be great. And I'll see you on the next one.